First Lieutenant Clark Welch described the actions of October 16 to the senior officers of the 1st Infantry Division. The Battle of Ong Thanh was fought at the stream of that name on the morning of October the 17th, 1967, in NTH district, at the time part of the old BA-NHDAE province, South Vietnam, today in BA-NHPHAE province. During the first few months of 1967, the Viet Cong absorbed heavy losses as a result of large-scale search and destroy missions conducted by the United States Army, and it prompted North Vietnamese leaders to review their war strategy in South Vietnam. In light of the setbacks which North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces had experienced early in 1967, North Vietnamese General TRA Acute Degree Section NVAR NTRA tilde suggested that North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces could still be victorious if they inflicted as many casualties as possible on U.S. military units, hoping that the Americans would conclude that the war was too costly and withdraw from Vietnam. Thus, towards mid-1967, the Viet Cong 7th and 9th Divisions returned to the battlefield again, with the objective of inflicting casualties on U.S. military formations in Three Corps Tactical Zone. On June the 12th, the U.S. 1st Infantry Division launched Operation Billings to destroy elements of the Viet Cong 9th Division, which had built up strength around northern Phuoc Vinh. During that operation, American soldiers initially made only a limited contact with the Viet Cong, but defeated enemy troops in two separate battles. On June the 17th, the 1/16th Infantry Battalion, reinforced by a company of 2/28th Infantry, engaged in a 6-hour battle supported by airstrikes and massive artillery. The majority of the casualties suffered from that engagement alone. When the operation concluded on June the 26th, the 1st Infantry Division had lost 57 soldiers dead and 197 wounded. Then in September, following a string of attacks on Allied military installations by Viet Cong and North Vietnamese troops, Major General John H. Hay decided to temporarily stop conducting large-scale operations until the true intentions of Communist forces were known. Towards October, the Viet Cong 271st Regiment marched into the Long Nguyen secret zone to rest and refit for their next major operation. To disrupt the Viet Cong's resting period, General Hay launched Operation Shenandoah to clear a section of National Highway 13 which stretched from Chơn Thành to Loc Ninh. Starting from September 28, elements of the 1st Infantry Division were airlifted into positions around Long Nguyen, but again only few contacts were made with the Viet Cong. However, on October the 16th, the 2nd Battalion of the U.S. 28th Infantry Regiment found a major Viet Cong bunker system located south of their night defensive position near the Ong Thanh stream, and a short firefight broke out. To avoid fighting a long battle, the commander of the 2nd Battalion decided to pull back and made preparations for a frontal assault on the next day. On the morning of October 17, two rifle companies of the 2nd Battalion returned to the bunker system they had found the previous day, but they were defeated by the Viet Cong 271st Regiment, which had set up an ambush in anticipation of the American attack. In the first half of 1967, United States military forces in Vietnam had inflicted losses on the Viet Cong, both in terms of infrastructure and manpower, through major ground operations such as Cedar Falls, Junctions T and Manhattan. For North Vietnamese military leaders such as Generals VA_MUNGUIA superscript ANGIA inverted exclamation point PNGIA right double angle bracket and Cha Than, the operations carried out by the Americans in South Vietnam had been disastrous for Communist forces. Furthermore, the military situation in North Vietnam also prompted North Vietnamese leaders to question their war strategy. In 1967, the United States expanded their Rolling Thunder bombing campaign, which enabled American air power to destroy, rather than just threaten, Hanoi's limited industrial infrastructures. Consequently, North Vietnamese leaders feared that, if the Red River dikes were targeted by the Americans, Hanoi and the surrounding farmlands would be flooded. At the same time, the North Vietnamese government was afraid the Viet Cong may split in order to accommodate a resolution with the Saigon government, because the US-backed government in the south was showing no sign of collapse.